Your New Orleans Saints just got a guy that so many other teams wanted. What's up, everybody? My name is Colin, and this is Standard Coverage every single day, just going a little bit deeper than maybe the national media or even sometimes the local media is willing to go in relation to the team. Now, again, we're just a smaller channel getting started. It helps me out if you like the video and subscribe to the channel. But even so, I want to talk a little bit about the context of what Jordan Tyson, the dude who got away from so many other teams and is now a New Orleans Saint and can definitely take the top off of defenses, but might have a ton of extra value for your team, not just simply as a singular wide receiver, but as a force multiplier, a guy who really changes the entire offense, maybe even as good as Michael Thomas was even years ago for you guys. But really, I'm looking at the Saints offense with Johnson, with Kamara, with ETN, with even Olave, and even just some of these rookie additions like Bryce Lance or even Oscar Delp. There's a lot of value in the receiving weapons and even in the backfield right now. Not only that, you start to pair in things like Banks or, again, the offensive tackle you drafted last year, Fuaga. I don't even know how to pronounce his name, but also bringing in David Edwards. You've got a second-year quarterback, a sophomore quarterback who showed you in the last handful of games last season that he was an AP All-Pro finalist as a rookie, right? It's just incredible stuff right now for the Saints. Not only that, but a top 12 defense by year's end. Only 22 points given up. Lots to be excited about if you are a New Orleans Saints fan. But today, again, I want to talk about Jordyn Tyson because I think there's a lot to be excited about and a lot to be mined here. Things that I think a lot of people are missing. But again, before we get into any of this content, make sure that you subscribe to the channel. It helps me out. Again, it's just a smaller channel getting started. I create content for a couple different channels, but this is a newer one for me. But here's the thing. Here's what Sal says. Tyson might be the best receiver in the class, and Saints stole him at pick 8. Now, again, a lot of people are talking about Jordyn Tyson in the fantasy realms in light of the potential that he has. People say, oh, Rashid Shaheed was 15th overall in wide receiver targets before he was traded to the Seattle Seahawks. But you know what? Those things are vacated, and now you bring in 2 rookie receivers, a rookie tight end, or 3 rookie receivers, but also 2 later round guys who we'll talk about later in this episode. But you know what? There's a lot of opportunity for Jordyn Tyson. And we even just saw recently rookie minicamp getting kicked off and started on Saturday. And, you know, he was kind of out and he was being ramped up, so to speak, because of that hamstring injury. But really, I think Jordyn Tyson was the guy that everybody wanted. I could show you about 15 other tweets that I found of different people just all over the internet saying, man, I wish Jordyn Tyson dropped to 10 or to 12 or to 14. There's just a lot of wide receiver heavy teams. And a lot of people have been looking at Jordyn Tyson, not just as a guy, who could be plugged into an offense and get 1,000 yards, but he's a guy who could potentially go for 1,616 touchdowns. He has a high ceiling because of his athletic profile. Now, I've got to temper some expectations here. I'm not saying he's going to be that. I'm not going to say, he's an all-pro day one, but he's got some real question marks with the injuries. But if those things do heal up and the on-ramping does really happen and he is, healthy consistently, wheels up for the Saints, wheels up for this team as a whole. And really the NFC South is absolutely on notice. But let's walk through this a little bit. Every team, I think, wanted Tyson to some extent. Again, the buzz, I don't think, is manufactured. The tape, the rankings, the draft board, I think all tell the same story. There's a lot of people, that were a little bit later in the draft that kept, the fan bases that kept throwing these pieces of information out that were like, oh, Jordyn Tyson's going to drop to 20. Jordyn Tyson's going to drop to 24, wherever it is, because these teams want Jordyn Tyson. Again, he was ranked on consensus big boards very, very high. Of course, top 4 receiver in the class, next to Tate, next to Lemon, next to even some guys like Casey Concepcion. But really, he was the guy above and beyond all of those guys that really could be a difference maker down the stretch of your season. Again, Tyson ranged between 1st and 4th ranked wide receiver. A lot of people compared him to Devontae Adams, Justin Jefferson, Odell. Even Tyson says himself that he's like, man, I really model my game after Jay Jetta's. But again, you guys make him the 8th overall pick in a class that really didn't have a ton of blue chip players, but this guy has the ceiling of not just, again, a wide receiver to get, 1,000 yards, but truly to be a force multiplier, whether it's in the slot, whether it's in the middle of the field, or even down the field. But yeah, just some other things. Historic pick here. The highest drafted Arizona State player since Mike Haynes. So good for Arizona State getting a player up on the board. But who is Jordyn Tyson? I'll quick run through this. 6'2", 203. He's a bigger receiver, but he's got the athletic prowess and giftedness that you want to see. Again, 2024, 75 receptions, 1,101 yards, 10 touchdowns. 2025, a little bit down, a little bit less, suffered some injuries, only 9 games, but 2-year total, 1,800 yards, 18 touchdowns. Power 4 rankings, 4th in receiving yards in 2024 and 2025. Yeah, that's fine. But when you start to put in the context of the conference that he's in, his injuries, and just some other things, you really realize that there's a lot more to be built up or to be unpacked here. But this is a dude who was built by Hines Ward in some regards there at Arizona State. Again, he drilled into him the idea that he shouldn't just primarily be somebody who wants to receive the ball, but wants to protect the rock and set up big plays for your team. Again, 5th among all FBS wide receivers in run blocking snaps in 2025. He was willing to put his body on the line for his team, and that's exactly what you want to see out of a non-selfish, non-diva receiver. But he models his game after Devontae Adams and Jay Jettas. Again, separation and speed. 2 things that lead to elite route running, elite at the catch point, toughness. Again, barring some of these soft tissue things, he's been really, really good. And again, his box out technique, it reminded me a lot of the wide receiver for the Chargers who's escaping my name, or his name is escaping me right now, but absolutely can box dudes out, can get the contested catches, can play just basketball down the middle of the field or even down the field or in the red zone as you need him. Again, as a wide receiver, a chess piece. You can put him in the slot. You can put him in the flanker. You can put him in the true X. It doesn't matter. Him and Olave and even Bryce Lance and even your tight end group that you have now can absolutely dominate wherever you put them. Again, Shough has already proved that he is the guy. We know the Rattler experiment's probably about over. But again, you've got a quarterback to match the wide receiver talent that you've now brought in. Again, look at the third down passer rating of 103.3. Led the entire NFL, not just rookies. Completion percentage, 67.6. Third highest among qualifying rookies all time. The stats go on. Not only that, he can scramble. He can move the ball. He can rush for touchdowns. Again, the stat on the screen right now, the 8.7 yards of average depth of target, I only expect that to increase with the additions on your offensive line, the growth in that room, not only with the addition of these wide receiver weapons you're bringing in. I'm really excited. Again, I just overall think that this room just got very dangerous. If you are a New Orleans Saints fan, you should be ecstatic about Kellen Moore as your head coach, who loves to fling the rock, who has now people at the right positions to succeed. You've got Chris Olave, who himself is, in my opinion, a top 10 receiver, top 12 receiver, and maybe that's being conservative in the NFL. Once he got the concussion stuff figured out and some of those other small injuries, he has been incredible. He always was an incredibly talented player, but Tyson joins a receiving group that already had an All-Pro and a top 5 tight end in Juwan Johnson. But again, both of these weapons are just going to have a force multiplier. It's not that they just add a little bit of extra help. It's that they're going to open up significant space because you're going to have to double team Juwan Johnson at times. You're going to have a safety to linebacker peel out for them, or you're going to have a corner and a safety on Chris Olave, which is going to open up the vertical game even more for Jordyn Tyson and even Bryce Lance, who's just maybe an under talked about player in this entire process as well. Again, I'm looking at Banks. I'm looking at your right tackle Fuaga, as well as David Edwards, who again I cover the Bills as well, and I'll just be honest with you, David Edwards is a big loss for the Bills. And you guys got a great player at a great contract value as well, in my opinion, for what he's going to offer you. But both of your tackles, again, first-round picks in the last couple of years, are under 25, and this is not a ceiling season. This is a floor season for you guys. Wheels up all around on this. I'm getting hyped for you guys. But again, Tyson doesn't just add points. He changes the math, in my opinion. You look at 2025, people double covered Olave all the time because they had to, especially when you guys went and traded Rashid Shaheed and your vertical game really ceased. I know you got some QB turnover and stuff with Rattler and Shough coming in, but Juwan Johnson, Kamara handled underneath stuff, but now you're adding ETN, you're adding more and more help in the receiver room, and you're having a stronger offensive line. Yes, you had 29 points per game in 2025, but the ceiling was identifiable, but also that was expected. We expected that as people watching the NFL. But in 2026, again, whether it be the rookies, Bryce Lance, Oscar Delp, Barian Brown, can they add an element to this in a niche role? Can Olave even increase his totals? Can Jordyn Tyson just raise the bar all around? You don't need him even to come in and be a 1,616 touchdown receiver. But I think he can do that year 2. I think he can do that in year 3. Again, Shough's already an elite third down quarterback, and he becomes even more dangerous with now 2 elite first round wide receivers, along with this great offensive line that on the bookends is going to be set and ready to go. This offense just broadly, it can be a top 10, maybe top 10 offense in the NFL. Can Shough take that leap forward? Man, top 15 for sure. The floor's 15 for me for the Saints right now. Again, Shough went 5-4 as a starter. He proved a lot with virtually no weapons, especially, again, post the trade and really even just some of the injuries with the running backs like Kamara. His floor is already really, really high. And for a second-round quarterback, that's just incredible. Moore's offenses have finished top 10 in rushing, rushing 4 of 6 play calling years. That's a very important stat. Whether it's the Kondre Miller, Alvin Kamara, or even Travis Etienne, you guys are going to have a good running game again this upcoming year. Your line is going to propel it forward. Again, I'm really high on David Edwards as a player and as a dude. But again, these tackles are really, really going to enhance your floor as an offense. But Olave and Tyson might be a top 3 by year's end team wide receiver pairing in the NFL. But overall, guys, I'm really hyped out for the New Orleans Saints offense. Let me know your comments down below. Where am I wrong? Where did I miss something? But overall, thank you so much for watching this video. I'm hyped about the Saints. I think you guys are going to have a great season. I'm excited for a lot of these young pieces. I love when younger dudes get opportunities and they excel. You guys have a lot of talent, a lot of talent on offense. Can your defense stay formidable? Can it stay a top 12 unit? Can they allow less than 22.2 points per game this year on average? If they can do that, you guys are poised for a breakout season. The division really could be yours. But in all of it, again, my name is Colin. This is Standard Coverage, just bringing you some fun updates around your team, maybe a little bit more nuance than the national media. And if that's the case, again, maybe I earned the subscription. Maybe I earned the like. Let me know down in the comments. We'll see you later. God bless.